Hey everyone, Eric Thompson here. Hope that you are doing well. Welcome back to the channel as we are considering, I think, number 65 on the AFI Top 100. I guess will correct me. Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, okay? Probably don't have to tell you about this movie, what exactly is happening in it. Suffice to say, Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, archaeologist, professor, adventurer, okay, gets involved with a certain political party from the 30s and 40s who are after the legendary Ark of the Covenant, trying to acquire it for its alleged magical powers. This movie, I believe, is on the AFI Top 100 because it represents not only the adventure genre in film, which Americans love, but also, perhaps you're familiar with, the aim of Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. They often, in their films, go back to older models. That is, sort of different styles and different trends in film from earlier days and update it for the present time. George Lucas's Star Wars, of course, is very much modeled after some of the space soap operas, in a light sense, using that term, from like the 50s and the 60s. And to that end, Indiana Jones is very much a recreation of many of the comic booky characters and films from the 30s and the 40s. It has that vintage feel, but with a sort of a modern for its time take. And it definitely belongs on the AFI Top 100, for those reasons, also because it's widely decorated with awards and honors. And of course, Raiders of the Lost Ark itself, along with the complete Indiana Jones franchise, has gone on to be so successful. Whether or not the fourth film, the most recent one, was what we wanted exactly. And to that degree, this film sort of represents the trilogy and the fourth film on the list, even though I don't know that I would put any other film on the list instead of this one to stand alone, okay? So keep that in mind, that Raiders of the Lost Ark does represent the whole of the Indiana Jones, franchise, but itself was chosen, for a very specific reason. Definitely remains relevant, not only because they still make Indiana Jones films and all that stuff, and the recent one was not too terribly long ago, but also because the adventure genre continues, and to great success, much to the pleasure of moviegoers and movie makers alike. Perhaps you're familiar with the recent game series for the PlayStation called Uncharted for PlayStation 3. Very successful. The whole thing, all of the games. I just finished playing Uncharted 3, and I loved it. And I was really struck often by how much it played and felt like an Indiana Jones movie, which I was glad for. It made it all the more fun for me to play and to enjoy. It's a funny movie. I think that George Lucas may have said that initially, people were concerned with how preposterous these movies felt, or at least Raiders of the Lost Ark did. Lightning bolts coming out of the Ark of the Covenant and, frying up Nazis and all that stuff. And it seemed so preposterous and so beyond anything, But that's sort of what made these movies fun, was that they had a somewhat livable promise, or a premise, and promise. A professor archaeologist, travels the world and recovers lost artifacts. But then it gets into the unreasonable and kind of, unexpected, not only with its dealings with the Nazis and all of that, and then the Russians, of course, in the last film, but then, the climax of all the films almost always involves something that's so outrageous and so silly that we're just along for the wild ride at the end, And I think that's a good balance. I think it's well struck in these movies, although the Temple of Doom may have gone a little too far on the unbelievable side. We'll leave that out of it for now. The lesson for me, if there is a lesson, and there are many lessons in this film, is leave mystery alone. When the Nazis start actually, I'm so sorry, when they actually start playing around with the Ark of the Covenant, bad things happen. Bad things happen. And this is what happens in all four of the films when humans start messing with things that are superhuman, all right? It just happens in the first and third films. We're dealing with biblical objects or biblical stories, or stories that are traditional to the Bible, to the scope of the Bible. But it reminded me of those moments of mystery in the Bible itself, in which human characters are interacting with the divine, and the outcome is challenging and troubling. Remembering specifically from Exodus 3, okay? I'll have Vegas put up the verse there on the screen for you. Exodus 3, at the top of Mount Sinai, when Moses runs into a bush on fire. Now, this might not be terribly uncommon in the desert. There are fires, there are bushes. Well, as the Bible says, this is a bush that is on fire, but it's not consumed. So that's weird to begin with. And then a voice emanates from the bush and tells Moses to take off his sandals, take off his shoes. He's in a holy place. Now we've got a talking bush, right? A talking bush that's on fire, that's not being consumed. And the bush doesn't say something, weird necessarily, but kind of weird. It says, take off your shoes, you're in a holy place, okay? And so Moses responds, and the bush goes on to describe itself as being God. God is a bush suddenly. Very mysterious, very weird. But of course we learn that God was using the bush to get Moses' attention. A little bit of a fireworks show to get Moses to pay attention to what was about to go down. And Moses is not sure what to do in this situation. It's a very beautiful, even liturgical gesture that he does take off his shoes and that he bows down, he prostrates himself before this bush in honor and worship of the miracle that is taking place. But so often, when we approach things that we can't explain, we try to explain it away. That's our first instinct, is to explain, to make sense of. And what if Moses had just stood there and looked at the bush and walked closer to it and tried to examine it and reason with himself, why is this bush on fire? What's happening right here exactly? What's going on? But he didn't. He trusted in the mystery of the moment, even though it was so mysterious to him. And of course, in Moses' story, like so many others in the Bible, perhaps even like yours and mine, we keep encountering mystery, and we want to make sense of it. We want to explain it away, as the phrase goes. But in this life, there are things which simply must be left to mystery. Frankly, even in my own life, in my own marriage, I look at Tori and I just can't figure it out how I got away with getting her to fall in love with me and stay with me and still love me. It's a mystery. Of course, I could chalk it up to, well, you're just a great guy and you do all these great things. That's not enough. I've done a lot of great things for a lot of people, and there are a lot of people that hate me, even though I was really nice to them. It's a mystery that I can't understand. If I try to dig too deep, I might unsettle the beauty of the mystery itself. There are so many things in this life that we just want to make sense of, that we want to put into perspective. But God has designed certain things to truly be mysterious. It's okay to leave them that way. And if there's any silly lesson, from Indiana Jones, it's that when you try to mess with the mysterious, when you try to either figure it out or to apply it for your own use, when you become selfish with the mystery, bad things happen, okay? things that we definitely do not want to see. And so, for what it's worth, think about those things in your own life that you just can't quite make sense of, those things that don't fall into place. What are those things for you? I can think of some things for myself, things that you'd like to have a sense of, that you wish you knew more about, that were more clear in your mind. And try to imagine just letting those things be as they are, mysterious. I guess really we can ask ourselves, what are we more interested in? The things we know or the things that are unknown, right? That's Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, at least from my perspective. It's a great film. If you've not seen it, I encourage you to do so. And give a watch to that whole franchise. It's just fun, okay? Of course, Spielberg and Lucas almost always turn out pretty good product. But for what it's worth, the second and the fourth films do have some weak spots. Killer ants and Bolaram, Suraram, dum, dum, whatever it is, But it's a great franchise. Please enjoy it, friends. Hey, the AFI Top 100 continues, okay? Things are getting a little more busy for me, and so I'm trying to keep up, but I've watched the next 2 or 3 films, and so I just got to sit down, just like I am now. I'm in Trimber Hall, one of the locations for our church, and just trying to bust these out quick as I can. We'll certainly try to keep things on my end, okay? My part of the bargain, and I hope that you will too. Bye! Like and subscribe if you care to. Leave me a comment in the section below, okay? Whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about mysteries, okay? What about some other movies that have to do with this mystery idea that you can think of? What other movies, are there that feature characters trying to figure out mystery, but in the end, the mystery remains the same, The mystery remains mysterious, all right? Gotta get going. Mass is starting soon. Gonna do my final preparations, but thanks as always for watching. Really, truly, please like and subscribe, okay, if you care to. Let me know what you think about the videos. Coming up next is Network, I believe, and then Cabaret. Those might be backwards, I'm not sure. In any case, that's what's coming up soon. Thank you truly for watching, friends, and as always, hope that you are doing well. Thanks, guys. Bye. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Oh, sorry.